RotoGrinders Today. I'm Jordan Cooper, a.k.a. BlenderHD, BlenderHD. You're going to follow me on Twitter. And it's Tuesday, November 26th. We'll be taking a look at the 5-game NBA DFS slate tonight on DraftKings. So hit that thumbs up button on your way in the door. Give me those thummy thumbs. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to always know when we go live. Programming note. Off. I won't be here. So you won't see me tomorrow. You won't see me Thursday. You won't see me Friday. You won't see me Monday. You'll see me back next Tuesday. So have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Eat that turkey. Play the 3-game NFL slate. You know, Thanksgiving slate's always fun. We got some showdowns. You got a big game. Tommy DeVito versus Cooper Rush. You get Cowboys Giants. Oh my God, can't wait for that. And then obviously we got Sunday, regular main slate. So we got tons of content here. So we'll have all your stuff, all the stuff for the Thanksgiving slate we'll have up on the site also. We have all the projections, all the ownership, all the everything, all for football. As well as we got basketball today. Tomorrow, we got like tons of basketball, tons of hockey. So if you want that, definitely join the site. Get a combo premium subscription. Click on that link in the description. Get $40 off your first month. But we're talking basketball today with the normal two. It's Tuesdays with Tim. Alliteration. Right. I'm like, they schedule a T. Someone with the T to come in on Tuesdays. So it's Tuesdays with Buell. Maybe you actually have some basketball props for us as well. But what we do have the slate. I'll bring it up on the screen. 5-game slate. We'll show some SimLabs. We got a first run of SimLabs. I'll reload that as well. And let's see if maybe we can make a halfway decent lineup, plus EV lineup for tonight's game. And I always use Tim. I always use you as input. What type of line should we be making in SimLabs, and how do we find ones that we actually do want to play, maybe in smaller field stuff. But let me start. I always start with the clicking on the injured tab. I'm assuming, Tim, whether or not Jordan Poole plays is going to be important.
Yeah, I mean, that's the most important game on the entire slate, and that's arguably the most important news on the entire slate. It's very, so if Poole plays, I mean, he's a fantastic play. If he doesn't play, we're probably going to be getting like Keyshawn George or Malcolm Brogdon, something like that, to get it going to the starting 5. But I mean, that would just catapult all of these Washington guys that are already in a fantastic spot, that are already playable anyway, even with Poole projected in for 32 minutes. So I mean, this game is just like you're gonna get to a lot of this game basically no matter what.
Well, the total on this game is what, 245?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like by far. I mean, I'm just doing the math. 245 here. You got the Bucks Heat game. That's around the 223. Houston, Minnesota is around 220. Spurs, Jazz is 225. Lakers, Suns is about 225. I mean, like this total is like 20 points higher than any other game on the slate. And the pricing, I mean, you take a look at Washington. I mean, is anyone expensive? I mean, like there's not, I mean, obviously, they have no like superstar. I mean, Jordan Poole is the most expensive player on Washington. And if he plays at 32 minutes, he comes in as the best value on the slate. We have him as the highest ownership with 33.65%. I mean, wouldn't you, if he currently we have him in the projections because we always have Q tags in the projections.
Right.
Would you be building? Let's assume that he plays. I mean, you'd probably be building with possibly 2, 3, 4 people from this game, even if Poole doesn't play. But let's get into, Tim, if we find out, during the day, right? This is the first game. The great thing is that this is the 7 p.m. game, right? We don't have to wait for the Suns and the Lakers and everything.
Right. Exactly.
If Poole is out, I mean, it's 32 minutes, and he's one of the higher usage players on the team. Do we just, I mean, does Brogdon just play like 30? Does he play all the minutes? I mean, like, I'm just taking a look at the rotation. Like Carrington, his minutes probably go up 6 or 7 minutes. I mean, I'm not sure that makes him a play necessarily, but I mean,
I
does
would
Brogdon at
assume
5,600 become like you have to play him?
I would assume Keyshawn George, who we had projected for 24 minutes, now probably gets 6 more minutes, maybe even 8 more minutes at 4,200.
Okay.
Possibly Malcolm Brogdon gets 3 to 4, 5, 6, like 3 to 6 more minutes if Poole doesn't play. Carrington, Kispert probably get a couple more as well. Koulibaly's already projected for 35 minutes. He might play a couple more minutes, believe it or not. He's my favorite play right now. He would be my favorite play, especially if Poole was out. He'd be everybody's favorite play, I think, just because the sheer amount of minutes in this amazing DFS environment is just going to be fantastic. So at 5,700, he's going to be showing up in like every optimal. I think he might already be as we speak, even with Poole projected in. So it's definitely pretty crazy. Alexander Sarr also at 5K. I think he would be a fantastic play as well. I don't think his minutes would get affected too much by the Poole news, but he's power forward center. He's a really strong points per dollar play right now with Poole in. He would be an even higher rated play with Poole out.
Our median optimal currently has 6 players from this game in already.
Wow. Yeah.
Even like Kuzma for raw points. I mean, we basically have Poole, Koulibaly, Sarr, Kuzma, and then let's talk about the other side of the game. I mean, Zach LaVine 7,800, Josh Giddey 6,400. And if you want to spend up a little bit more at center, you got Vooch at 8,200. These all show us positive values, and obviously the Bulls rotation is much more condensed than the Wizards rotation. How much are you prioritizing these guys? Because I mean, this game is going to be popular. Is it the type of thing, Tim?
It's going to be so popular
from a GPP perspective. Yeah, from a GPP perspective, this game is going to be popular. I'm using like NFL logic kind of behind it, right? Obviously, you can't lose baseball because you're stacking regardless. So I guess you could use MLB logic in a way. When the game is popular, you look at the game and you like everyone's owned, right? To certain degrees. Obviously, some may be more owned than others. Would you be more likely? Because what I do in like let's say a baseball stack, you're like, oh, the Yankees are going to be 40% owned, right? The whole stack, or the Dodgers. It's like Ohtani's owned, bets like this is they have a 8.4 total in cores against no one, right? And something like that. And everyone's owned. And but obviously there's other games on the slate, and it doesn't that the Dodgers have to put up 10 runs, they could fail and the stack fails. But are you more likely to fade the game or just play single pieces of the game? If you understand what I'm saying, like if this game goes under or it gets spread out way more, than you think, especially on the Washington side, where Poole plays and they're all fine, but you didn't need to have any single one of them. And then you look on the Chicago side, and it's like, well, if LaVine puts up 40, you don't need. It's a 5-game slate. I mean, it's a little bit smaller than normal slates, but if no one goes off and has a flame emoji, it's quite possible that you don't need anyone from this game at all. So are you more likely to say, let's say, here are the choices, Tim. You're building a lineup for smaller to mid-sized fields. Obviously, larger fields, you'd be more likely to be a little bit more contrarian. But since you're coming from the perspective of playing a 500 to 1,000 person field with one lineup, would you be more likely to stack the game? Basically, kind of do what our optimal does. I want 7 guys from the game, right? I want 6, 7. I'm going to just focus on this game. I'm going to hope that more people only play 4 or 5 pieces from the game, and I have 7 pieces from the game. Number 2, I'm going to play this game, but I'm only going to play one side, right?
Mm-hmm.
And don't play the Bulls and just go, I'm going to play 5 Washington guys. And just, because the Bulls players are more condensed, so and they're higher priced. So it's like, well,
Right.
I mean, none of these guys could get there, right? Or just play the Bulls side and say, well, it's condensed, and the Bulls just go out and just destroy the Wizards, right? And none of the Wizards players get there. Or you play no one from, or you play like one person from the game, or like one value from the game, or you play no one from the game. Like, like out of those, because that's really what the lineup construction is going to end up being. Any outside of this game is not going to be all that. Like, if you were to play 4 guys from another game, like that's automatically contrarian because so many more people are playing players just from the Bulls Wizards game.
Right. So I would either go the line of overstacking this game, kind of like what we're doing currently in that medium optimal that we have, or going lighter on the Chicago side because they're more expensive. So I could see a scenario more likely that none of them get there, and just go heavier on the Washington side, like maybe play 3 or 4 Washington with just one Chicago bring back. And hope you get the right one. I don't see a world. I don't see a scenario where I'm not getting to like 3 Washington players, regardless if Poole sits or not, just because this is such a great, DFS environment going up against Chicago, and they're so cheap, right? Like Chicago's kind of expensive. Washington isn't, so it's going to be much easier for them to pay off these price tags. I know that they're going to be highly owned, but it's still definitely a spot where I'm just not going to be ignoring. So it's either going to be a full on overstack, or getting to a heavier Washington side with like maybe just one Chicago bring back. Which bring back I choose, I'm not exactly sure yet. I kind of like Vucevic, to be honest with you, at 8,200. But I mean, optimals are much more likely to give you Levine or Giddey. But I don't mind getting to like a Nikola Vucevic at 8,200. I think this is a really good spot for him. So, I mean, I think maybe getting, taking the most contrarian line with Chicago to get off of some aggregate ownership in this really popular game is a good line to take as well. I mean, he is going to be owned. Vucevic is going to be owned, but I mean, he's not going to be as owned, I think, as Levine or Giddey. So he's going to be the lower owner of those top 3 guys.
Well, that's especially true with like Sarr having center eligibility. People playing Sarr in the center spot, and centers not being able to. They can only fit in 2 spots on your lineup on DraftKings. But I also want to show. We'll look at SimLabs in a second, because SimLabs could answer these questions of like, well, what if I just fade the game? Like, are there any what do plus EV lineups look like that have no one from this game? And it's quite possible we try to do that in SimLabs, and SimLabs just puts up the shrug emoji and throws up at us. But
I'd
another way to do it is just,
I'd be surprised if it doesn't throw up at us, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it probably does. But we take a look at the median optimal currently here in our projections. And like I said, it's 11 o'clock in the morning. So some of this stuff is going to change. Poole could be out. Who knows? I mean, like, this is the type of stuff you're doing at 6:30 rather than now. But this is kind of the process that you'd be going through. So here, our median optimal on our current projections with the 6 guys from this game, 275.57. Okay? I'm just going to go. I'm going to X out everyone. I'm just going to go through and just going to, like, imagine playing a lineup that doesn't have anyone from this game in at all. And then just go, what's the optimal with no one from the Bulls or the Wizards? Well, that lineup is 261.56. So essentially you're giving, in order to play the best possible lineup without a player from that game, you're going to give up 14 points in projection. And let me tell you, in NBA on a 5-game slate, 14 points is a lot of projection to give up.
And that's actually better than I thought it would be. I thought we were going to give up like 20.
Right.
Yeah. But still, yeah, that's a ton to give up.
Right. Even if you put Poole back. So let's say we go and we just say, okay, we're fine. You know, we sort by here, and it's like we're fine with Poole. Okay, 275 was the optimal. Now you get it up to 266.12. Now it's a little bit more manageable. Giving up not just 9 points. I mean, 9's a lot at NBA in a 5-game slate, but I mean that is doable, right? And let's say you put back in SAR, right? You put back in SAR. Now 268.53. So just from a projection standpoint, it's like you don't have to fade the game. You could play 1 or 2 pieces and still be fine from a projection, and your ownership is coming down a significant amount. And I'm going to assume that a lot of the players in these other games, is there anyone, Tim, that you expect to be super chalky, like enough that we have to, kind of worry about in the other games? Like, it looks like maybe like Kessler, Keldon Johnson, Stephen Castle. Like, are these people that am I scared of these people?
No, not really. I mean, Kessler is really, really cheap. Should be playing over 30 minutes in a really good spot. I don't think I'm like absolutely terrified of not having him. But I mean, he is in a really strong spot. Mike Conley is currently projected for quite a bit of ownership, but he's questionable. We don't even know if he's going to be playing. So he's not really necessarily anyone I'm scared of not having in a large field setting, at least, or even a small field, really. Yeah. So I mean, these Spurs who we'll have to talk about, they're going to be pretty chalky, and this Jazz team's going to be pretty chalky as well. And then, yeah, so I mean, it's definitely some of these San Antonio pieces might end up getting steamed up, but yeah, really, it's just this one game is the overwhelmingly all the projected ownership right now.
So how many lineups? I mean, this has to kind of cap like Wemby, AD, LeBron, Giannis. Like, how many? Like, we have Giannis's ownership at 11%. Of course, he's 12K, right? Wembanyama 10.8, Anthony Davis 10.5, LeBron 10K. I mean, we see in like the median optimals that like they don't come up that much. Like, even if I run, just default, just run, what do 100 lineups look like? Like, I'm not sure how much of these higher priced guys, especially Wembanyama and Davis, who are only center eligible, right? Like,
and they switched LeBron's eligibility to power forward center too. He lost his small forward eligibility,
right?
So that makes things different as well. I'm getting to a lot of Anthony Davis and Sims. I don't think he's going to be that highly owned.
Yeah, I mean, I ran 100 lineups. I mean, I don't get any of. I mean, I get one AD lineup.
Okay, we must have our settings different. But
I mean,
yeah.
this is obviously these are median lineups, right? But I'm just saying that
yeah.
You're not going to get many constructed lineups that have a 10K player in it,
right? No, I mean,
but are you looking to play one of these guys? I mean, if you say you would rather play Vucevic at 8,200, how do you end up playing any of these guys anyway?
Yeah, I mean, if I want to play Vucevic, I really can't get up to that, and that's kind of the early decisions that I'm looking at right now. Because I mean, obviously, I kind of want to play Wemby against the Jazz. It's a fantastic spot for Wemby. I don't think he's going to be that chalky. We currently have him at like 14%. I don't foresee that getting steamed really either. I think so. I mean, it's definitely, he's my favorite. Wemby would be my favorite. Because I just really like that game. That's my second favorite game, besides the Chicago-Washington game. So obviously right now, I mean, I kind of like to see, like, if we lock in Wemby into Sims, I'd kind of like to see what happens with the rest of it, what it gives us in terms of EV lineups.
Right. Well, it shows here on our current Sims as of 10:07 a.m., Vucevic is the most over-owned center on the slate.
Boo.
And AD is the most under-owned center.
That makes sense for me.
Is -4.
Okay. Yeah, AD makes a lot of sense for me too.
We go point guard. We have
Yep.
Giddey as the most over-owned.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Keldon Johnson, most over-owned power forward. Small forward, Keldon Johnson. There's Keldon Johnson. And shooting guard, Stephen Castle. Heavily over-owned compared to his current. I mean, obviously based on 11 o'clock in the morning, their current everything. So, do you want to rethink in our lineup that we're gonna make here?
Oh, let's lock in maybe Wemby just to see. What is he? Is he
Okay.
neutral or is he?
No, he's -4. I mean, it's still.
-4?
I mean, obviously,
Obviously
you can play
that's not
Vucevic. It's
horrible.
just that you're gonna have to play lower-owned players in the rest of your lineup, right? I mean, just
right. Yeah. Let's see what we get. Go with Wemby.
Okay. So I'm just using defaults. I'm just gonna put in 20. Just let's see what comes up. Okay. Yeah, Wemby, we got some Rockets in here. Let's see. Exposures. I mean, you're getting Poole, there's an AD lineup with Wemby in it. What the hell does that look like?
Wow. It's right there.
Yeah, right. I mean, this second one isn't good. Right. So you play Conley, Poole, Coulibaly, Barnes, Wembanyama, Grayson Allen, Malachi Branham at 3K for a projection of 12
Wow.
points and AD. I mean, you really need AD and Wemby to go like nuclear for this type of lineup, right?
It's a pretty good.
Can't just
it's a pretty good lineup.
Points from these guys.
It's a pretty good lineup outside of Branham.
Right.
I don't mind that lineup.
But the lineups that come out, I mean, there's not that. I mean, these ratings start going down. The highest rated ones. I mean, you get Coulibaly, you get Sarr, you get Levine, right? You get Kuzma, Poole. I mean, you're still getting. I mean, Mattis Buzelis. I don't even know who that is. On the Bulls at 4K with a 17-point projection. Bryce Sensabaugh. I mean, dude, you got to play some 3K. I mean, some of these guys, create a player guys in your lineup. But I mean, they don't rate that badly. I mean, you take a look at these. I mean, we have Amon Thompson as one of the most under-owned guards.
Yeah, I mean, he's the fantastic play today. I was going to talk about him just as like a one-off. But the other thing is, if Green sits, he's going to be super chalk.
Because Green is questionable also, right?
Yeah, so I'm hoping Green plays and we can play Thompson anyway. But I mean, if Green sets, you basically have to play Thompson.
So let's look at Amon Thompson lineups currently. And you want? I mean, do you want to see what our Vucevic lineups look like?
Sure.
Right, just because someone is over-owned doesn't mean he's not playable. It just means the lineups are going to be. You're not going to play Vucevic with all the chalk. I mean, you're going to have to find leverage elsewhere. That's the point of this tool, right? So we're going to lock in Amon Thompson, Vucevic. Is there any like chalky player that you're going to prefer to not play? Do you not want to play? Don't play Levine. Do you not want to play Levine or Giddey in this lineup?
Yeah, we could X out Levine. I'd also be curious if we X'd out Mike Conley, what would happen?
So don't X out Giddey.
Let's
Giddey.
leave
Giddey's still fun.
Let's leave Giddey. I'd like to X out Conley just to see what it looks like.
Okay. So we locked in Amon Thompson, Vucevic, excluded Levine and Conley. And let's see. I just put in 20 lineups for the sake of speed, right? 90, fit 78. So there aren't that many lineups that look like. I mean, we start getting down to. I mean, obviously, if I create more, we'll get more. Like if I just do 50, it'll end up giving us a little bit more in between, right? Right, 90, 78, 8. No, it can't. It doesn't like. There aren't that many. Basically, it says if you're going to play this combination, play this lineup: Poole, Thompson, Coulibaly, Sarr, Vucevic, Paul, Markkanen, Tyus Jones.
Yeah, I don't mind that lineup.
That's right. Here's an AD lineup. You want to play Vuce and AG? That's going to be Contrarian.
That's gonna be contrarian. That lineup right there,
Right.
for sure. And I think you could
Full
play
con-
around with that You could play around that McDaniel spot too. So, yeah, it's definitely, yeah. I don't mind that.
One of the reasons why some of these, and we may not get as many of these lineups, is because of how the Sims say that Vucevic is over-owned.
Over-owned, right?
Which means
Correct.
it's not going to be able to find as many lineups with this exact configuration the way it is, right?
Right. Yep.
Because let's say we put in Wemby instead here, right? So we want to play Eamon Thompson and Victor Wembanyama, but we don't want to play Levine and Conley. And let me see what these look like more. Okay. No, it doesn't like this combo at all, really at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We don't get very good, well-rated lineups at all. You're probably just giving up too much projection. We take a look at, I mean, some of these projections, 256, 255, they're 20 points lower, right?
Right.
Because in order to fit in Wemby, like, or you don't play him in Thompson, right? I mean, like I bet if we put in Anthony Davis, obviously if we put in Anthony Davis, we're going to get the lineup that we just saw, right?
Mm-hmm.
That should be the first one. Right, 257. Yeah, there's not many. Right, here's the Anthony Day. Oh, here's a Jimmy Butler lineup. Johnny Juzang at 3,200 projected for 10 points. These definitely don't look, Tim. These definitely don't look like lineups that you'd be playing in a 500 to 1,000 person field contest.
And imagine how bad it would look if you had Giannis in there, who's even more expensive, right? I mean,
right.
I would assume that if we entered Giannis in there, it would not look that good.
Yeah, but I mean, if we just locked in Giannis and looked at I'm assuming we'll just get a lot of Chicago, Washington with the Giannis and some 3K, some $3,200 guy or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, here you go, Isaiah Collier,
right?
Right. But the best lineup still only projects 18 points below optimal, and you still have to play some garbage players in here. I mean, you got to play some $3,400 guy with 15-point projection. A 4K guy with a 17-point projection. Yeah, I mean, it makes the case of why these expensive guys are going to be lower owned, because it's hard to make quality lineups with them.
And some of the news that we're waiting on isn't necessarily going to bring up some super cheap value. Like if Conley sits, then DiVincenzo becomes a play, but he's 5,200. You know, like if Green sits, Thompson becomes a play, and he's 5K. Like he's not like we're gonna get some kind of like super cheap value. I mean, obviously early anything could happen, but right now the news that we're waiting on is not bringing in super cheap stuff. So with some of these like high end guys simming, like not giving us good sims, like I'll probably be looking like I'll be going more balanced. I was hoping to play Wemby today. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do with that, but yeah, I mean these Giannis lineups look horrible. I mean,
let me just lock in Wemby and just see. I mean, I'm just like, what would a Wemby lineup look like in medium results range, small? I mean, you get some. I mean, it's 260, 263. I mean, something like this. I mean, you could play, Keontae George, Jordan Poole, Koulibaly, Sarr, Wemby, Champagny, Keldon Johnson, Walker Kessler. I mean, like this.
That's
at least
a
you're playing.
lineup.
I mean, right. I mean, you're playing a stat. I mean, essentially, you're playing. I mean, I like this lineup from a construction standpoint because teams that you're playing 3 Spurs, 2 Jazz, same game, and 3 Wizards in the highest total game. I mean,
yeah,
this lineup doesn't seem all that bad to me, right?
That's a good lineup. I agree with that. I do like that lineup, and it doesn't have Mike Conley.
But even you take a look,
I don't really like today,
right? Even if we X out Conley, we just do Conley. We X out Conley. And then
he projects well. It's just my own cognitive bias I'm talking here.
Right. Here's that first lineup that we just talked about right here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That rate's 89 above. I mean, there's enough lineups here, 70s. I mean, then it starts dipping. But I mean, here's a Brogdon Sarr lineup. Here's Here's if you don't want to play Mattis Buzelis. But I mean, this like take a look at this lineup. I mean, this is a reasonable lineup. Jordan Poole, Koulibaly, Kuzma, Valanciunas. And then you play Castle, Wemby with Jabari Smith and Colin Sexton.
I'm glad that we brought up
like,
Jonas Valanciunas. I forgot to bring him up. Like, he is a really, really strong large field GPP play today. He does not play a ton of minutes, but he does a ton of stuff in a small amount of minutes. And if he does get extra run, he will crush this price tag. And he's not going to be popular. So I had him highlighted as like a large field, like, you know, value play.
And you wouldn't put Sar in the lineup. I mean, you wouldn't play them together.
I would probably, most likely not. I would not play Sar with him. Correct.
Right. I mean, these look like decent ones. John Collins. I mean, he'll be lower. You have Corey Kispert there. I mean, obviously, I think Corey Kispert is more viable if Poole doesn't play.
Correct. I mean, Kispert does. Yeah, I mean, Kispert can get hot. He's a chucker, you know. So if he gets hot, he can pay off that price tag. But I would much rather have Poole be out to play Kispert.
Anything else that we should know about the slate? We looked at SimLabs, and obviously, if you want just SimLabs, you don't need to get everything here. You don't have to get combo premium. You don't have to get spend all the money. You can just get combo light. But you get the 4 major sports in SimLabs: MLB, NBA, PGA, NFL. You could use that to obviously it's with our projection, so you could use SimLabs all you want, and plus all of our premium written content and everything behind the scenes, all of our slate write-ups and everything. Get that for even lower price. So click on the link in the description and click over to rotogrinders.com/premium and check that out. But Tim, anything else that we should be looking out for in the slate? Any other contrarian takes or props or anything?
I do have a couple props. I think we've covered pretty much everything. I think Terry Rozier's questionable. If he sits, Duncan Robinson would be a decent play. But I mean, I think that's really it. We're not really waiting on like huge salary, saver value. So I think we could move on to props if you want to. So
what? Yeah. So what props do you come on?
Yeah, so I have Keontae George. This is the top play in the shot quality model is Keontae George under 2.5 rebounds. And then a couple that I like, just personally, are LeBron James over rebounds and assists, 16.5. Or you could just go just the rebounds at 7.5. And then I like the Lauri Markkanen under 33.5 PRAs. So those are
the PRA
my
one. The PRA one.
Yep. So yeah,
I see some of them in our prop model.
Oh really?
Yeah. The Markkanen ones are in our top 20 currently. Obviously, on our current projections at 11 in the morning. I don't. You don't expect. I mean, the Jazz projections shouldn't change. I mean, the Jazz have like no one,
right,
waiting to be out, right? So I don't. I think the Markkanen one is fine.
Yep. So I'm on some of those Markkanen unders, LeBron overs in rebounds and assists and rebounds, and then shot quality's top play is Keontae George under 2.5 rebounds.
Okie doke. Tim, you ready for tomorrow? You got all the basketball games and all the hockey games tomorrow. So you're going to be busy tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm on Grinders Live tonight with Chop and Dean. And then I'm going to be doing the Thanksgiving show, pre-lock show with, I think, Will and TJ. So, yeah. But tomorrow is going to be quite the sports day. Wednesday is going to be a hectic day. I'll be on projections for NHL for 15 games NHL. So that'll be a hectic day.
But you could join Tim in the NHL Discord, rotogrinders.com/Discord for all your. He's always in there talking about the line changes and everything, all the news. So check that out. Thursday, remember Thanksgiving, we do have a show in the morning. It won't be with me, but
That's right.
Tim will be on for the 3-game slate. That's around 11:30 a.m. or noon Eastern.
I think it's
11:30. Okay. Got 3 games on Thursday, so check that out before you head to your wherever you're going for Thanksgiving. Watching the football. Remember, I won't be here. I won't be back until next Tuesday. So you don't have to send me messages saying RotoGrinders. Oh, you got fired too. Oh, you got fired also. Like, no, it's just that.
I'll see
tomorrow.
you. I'll see you next Tuesday, Blender.
Right, and yeah, I'll be back here right on the saddle because that's what I do here. Most Tuesdays through Fridays, talking about all things you're thinking about. Daily fantasy, props, and pick 'em on RotoGrinders.